Well, next fight, guys, we've got Abdellah Er-Ramy taking on Torrez Finney. And you guys know, this is the last chance university, right? This is the last time that we will see Torrez Finney on Contender Series this season. And it is contract or go home season for Torrez Finney. He is 9-0 as a professional. He's taking on Abdellah Er-Ramy, who is 7-1. And the younger man is Torrez Finney. The smaller man, of course, is Torrez Finney. He's the smaller man in virtually every matchup. And as I kick it to my brother Gordo to break down this matchup, we will switch the board here for the Contender Series and show off our meeting of our matchup here. This is Torrez Finney on your left-hand side of the screen taking on Abdellah Er-Ramy. What do you think about this matchup, Gordo?
I said it last time too. People have told me I do look like Torrez Finney, and I'm getting to see it, man. I kind of got it going, but I think it's a spot where we got him again, man. We've seen him a few times. He is one of the more known faces on Dana White Contender Series, not only because he's got 2 wins here so far, but because of his build. Like, the guy's a likable character. He is huge. He pushes through a cardio barrier to go out there and try to win fights, and he has been successful doing so, but not successful enough to go out here and secure himself a contract. And he comes out here for a third time to be able to do so. And how often do we get the opportunity to go out here and get guys who are undefeated, already have 2 wins in a Contender Series, but don't have the contract? That kind of tells you what a lot of this stuff is to him here. What we have at heart is a guy in Torrez Finney who is a very solid wrestler. He uses his physicality more times than not. And I think that maybe solid wrestler is interesting because he doesn't have the most technicality at it, but he's got brute strength. He's got a good ability to push through the cardio barrier. He's got the good ability to just wear on people, win minutes, win optics. His last fight wasn't the most entertaining, but he was able to push through it. And his first appearance, he was able to go out there and lock up that submission, but he does seem to be like a guy who potentially does have flaws. I know Pierce is a big Torrez Finney guy, and on all respect to him, but I do think Torrez Finney is someone who, as Dana White alluded to, may get smoked by some guys in the UFC. There it is. But you throw me off, man. You throw me off. This is a complete 180 to the background you had one last week, man. I'll just tell you that. But Torrez Finney is a guy who I do think has the capability to go out there and wrestle at a high clip, utilize that physicality, look at those finishes, but is going to have to go out there and do so in this matchup because he has been criticized by Dana White. He's been brought on to go out here and try to do better than last time. And I think because of that, we have ourselves a hopefully differently motivated guy in Torrez Finney. I didn't expect much from Er-Ramy doing that tape. I thought he was going to be brought in here to potentially see if Torrez Finney can pass the test. I didn't mind Cam Rousen last time, and I didn't know how Er-Ramy was going to be, but I didn't mind his striking. I think the guy's got good power and close. He's got the ability to knock anybody's lights out, solid physicality in his own right. His one flaw is that takedown defense, and I do think that it could be something against Finney here, but I think he's got power. I think he's got solid cardio. I think he's someone who I still like to see improvements from, but I am struggling with this fight because I did want to look into it. I did want to back Torrez Finney, but straight up, you guys can disagree with me. I think the line's wrong. I will probably end up with a bet here on Er-Ramy this week. I know Torrez Finney is the A side, like Liam's going to pick up there, but I think in a spot where Dana White is motivating Finney to go out there and throw hands and be more entertaining and try to show him that he is worthy of a UFC contract, going out there and exchanging with a guy like Er-Ramy is a bad decision. Er-Ramy is going to be the better striker. I think Finney leaves his head out on the center line too often, although he's able to push through adversity and go out there and get those takedowns. I think on the feet, I favor the power, the clinch game of someone like Er-Ramy, and I do think he's able to go out there potentially in that finishing shot. If Torrez Finney commits to a 100% grapple-heavy game plan, I think he can win this fight. However, I think in doing so, he is putting his contract at risk because it's not going to give him the most entertaining style. So in doing so, I think he leaves himself open on the feet. I think he wants to go for that beautiful-looking KO shot. I think Er-Ramy is live to get the win. I think I ended up picking him outright. And because of the pace that I think Finney's going to try to bring to get that contract, I also think the fight doesn't go is live at a good price. I don't like to go against Finney. I think he's a cool dude. But I'm surprised by the way this line is.
Interesting thoughts from Brother Gordo. What do you think, Pierce? Do you agree or disagree?
Honestly, I don't think I can disagree with what Gordo is saying, man. It's like, I love Finney too, man. He seems like a great guy, the type of guy you grab a beer with and, you have a good night. But breaking down fights at the end of the day, and I'm trying to figure out what Ramy's going to look like when he's facing a type of wrestler like Finney. And that's kind of like the question. We don't really know. I know some people will be like, yeah, Ramy got dropped and mounted his last fight against this dude in PFL Europe. But one thing about Ramy, it's like he's kind of scrambly. He's not like a battle giraffe Cam Ralston where he's playing jujitsu off his back. I mean, I know there's only like 3 fights available from Ramy. I wish I could find the decision fight where back in 2022, couldn't find that. I guess that's would be valuable data if anybody can find that. But I don't know. I think Ramy is he's in the right weight class. He fought in the PFL Europe tournament at like 205 pounds, and you can see in this face-off photo he looks in shape. And if he can keep it on the feet, man, I think he can probably hurt Finney in the pocket. But it's like there is still questions on Ramy, man. It's like I don't know what his wrestling's gonna be like against someone like Finney, and it's like, but at the same time, it's plus 190 near and plus 200, and it's like Finney has a style where it's like he doesn't have jujitsu, so he's either gonna lay on top of Ramy and win like maybe a boring decision or maybe breaks him late. But it's like Ramy could just like turn his back and stand up, and Finney's not putting in hooks or anything. So it's like I'm willing to maybe find out how this Ramy dude's takedown defense is at plus 200 against someone in Finney who makes a lot of mistakes on the feet. I mean, even in the against that Russian Panfarov, I mean, he was getting hurt. And then the Ralston fight, which was not how you want to see a minus 600 look in Dana White Contender Series. And I know Dana was a bit harsh on his words, but it's kind of fascinating they're bringing him back after how much shit Dana talked about him. But I wish him the best, man. Maybe third time's the charm, but from the betting market perspective, man, it's clear dog or pass. It's just I don't know. Ramy could look like an awful bet if he's shit off his back, but yeah, I don't know. I'm willing to find out and fade Finney at plus 200.
Okay, so we got a strong panel take on the underdog here, who is the bigger man here, Abdellah Er-Ramy. I will say the one thing that stood out to me is number one, Abdellah Er-Ramy is really not fighting very many tough guys. If you look at his record, he's fought a lot of Fugazis. When he did step up in competition, he got dropped badly in that fight. I think that guy got a little overzealous, got over his skis, tried to chase him down, and then got hit with some big shots in his own right. But I have a feeling that, number one, I do think Torrez can take this guy down based on what I saw on tape. I think Pierce makes some interesting points, some things I hadn't really thought of in terms of maybe he could just get back up to his feet because of the lack of jiu-jitsu. But I do think that there is a non-distinct possibility that, Torrez Finney goes out here and just swings a wild hook and knocks this guy dead because you just see that his chin is not the best, right? And the one thing about cutting weight is it gives and it takes. Typically, I do think that this might be the right weight class. I'm open to that possibility. But the one thing is he was able to recover from a big shot up at 205. At 185 after cutting 20 pounds of water. Are you going to feel the same way? I'm not sure. Is he going to be able to react to the shots the same way? I don't know. And I think that when I'm looking at this fight, I say the Avasio D'Onofrio fight, they were swinging a little bit wild. There was some crazy exchanges. He was getting overextended in some grappling exchanges and making some weird decisions. Then the Madeleine Privalewski fight, that's the one where he got dropped most recently. I could not find the footage of the Arturs Ozolins fight, but he did get finished by a 2-3 fighter at the time. The Frank Munoz fight, I watched that one back. I wasn't really blown away by that one either. So I didn't think he was the best fighter I watched on tape. I didn't think that the quality of competition was that high, but I could see what you guys are saying in terms of just Torres's ceiling. If you don't have great jiu-jitsu, if your control style grappling isn't that effective, if your cardio is running out in rounds 2 and 3, it could get dicey for sure. But I don't know, exactly what I can expect from Er-Ramy when he's facing real resistance. My guy Jewish Better says Ramy by sub, interesting angle. So yeah, definitely a lot of love from the Sharp Chat and our guests for the Er-Ramy side. So I'll watch a little bit more tape and see if I'm swayed here. What I can say is I watched very little Torrez Finney tape because he's a guy who I'm pretty familiar with his game. But I'll go back and revisit and just watch these Contender Series fights and see exactly what we're dealing with. But he does have a couple knockouts regionally, so I think he has some power in his hands and the athletic build to go out there and just put hands on this guy early, swinging wild, and put him down. Please, Gordo, go ahead.
I just want to talk about that submission. It's just hard to submit somebody with no neck, right, man? Those traps, they'll get up there. They'll block that submission real quick. So I'm just saying that would be very impressive.
I mean, don't you think we should touch on the fact that obviously, the mental side of things, we honestly nobody can cap that, but he just took a lot of shit from Dana about how boring of a fighter he is. What happens if Torres Finney just comes in and just swings dicks with Rami? I mean, that could be a possibility, honestly.
And that's what I'm saying too. Is like he could not only get clipped in a situation like that, but he could go forward and land a powerful shot. I don't think El-Rami's perfect. I just think he's a guy with a ton of power, and for that reason, I have alluded to that fight doesn't go the distance line. I do think he goes out there and does push a pace. If it does potentially close up or look better, on some local books might get towards that. But I do think that this is a fight where Torrez Finney goes out there for broke, and I do think that could cost him. That's just why I think the line may be wide.
I think you might be better off playing the under if you like the fight doesn't go route, because you got -200 fight doesn't go, and then under 1.5 is like +130, +140 right now. So it's not a bad look, because honestly, you can give both these guys finish and upside here.
Could.
I don't think that's a bad idea. Also, there's not a lot of props released on this fight, so I'm not going to share all my thoughts on the props, but I think that there's going to be value in the finishing props for these guys based on the incentive structure of the fight, like you guys mentioned. And just looking at the chin dynamic, like I think he's got power. I do think he's got some skills. That's why he's here. That's why the PFL recruited him as well. But if you listen to his interviews and stuff, I was seeing headlines like, I fight because I need the money, and he's going out there trying to win 100,000 at 205 pounds. And, he's getting bounced around a little bit. I just think that the guy is willing to take a lot of risks, and they're signing him up against the guy who needs to kind of pay off on a big risk in this one, in Torrez Finney. So I think both guys are capable of maximizing, but it does feel to me like it's Torrez Finney, probably stopping him, but we'll see how it goes, man. I'm excited to watch that fight. And I've never been the biggest Torrez Finney guy, but he's got a lot of experience in this Apex. He's coming out there raring to go. And I do think that if you just swing hammers with this guy, at worst, it's a 50-50. And, I think that because he's going to be confident, familiar with the territory, ready to go, I think he could come out here and just knock this guy out. But let's see how it plays, man.